I had no idea I would be in the position that I was at the end of the season.
I have to start by asking you, how has it been for you so far to rewatch the season? What's the biggest thing you learned? How are you feeling about everything so far?
Watching myself back on TV is just always going to be an odd experience. But ultimately, I feel like I've really reflected as I didn't realize just how vulnerable I was. And I'm I'm happy that I was able to challenge myself and push myself to open up. And I don't typically, with a sports past, always show emotion, or wasn't always one to shed tears in front of people. And so this is a huge step from that, and being able to, show these men how I truly was feeling at times and talk about painful experiences, as well as showing emotion for them when they're sharing their stories as well. And I think, the viewers hopefully relate to that.
Is there anything that's gone down between the guys that you were surprised to learn watching it back?
I feel like when you are the lead, like you eventually catch wind of everything that unfolds, just because the guys spend a lot of time together. And so if something kind of snowballs into something, you hear about it, or you have to squash it or talk about it. And so nothing that has happened has been like incredibly surprising so far.
Okay. 200 episodes of The Bachelorette, huge deal. What does it mean to you to get to be a part of the celebration of 200?
I mean, that is a huge mile marker, but to be able to have this 200th episode be with this diverse cast of just wonderful men, wonderful love stories, so unique, so different, is pretty special.
Nate has clearly stood out to you from the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about your connection and why you guys have connected so far on the show?
When Nate just stepped out of the limo, he was just very confident, but he didn't have that overconfidence where, he was still nervous. I was nervous as well. And I just, through the season, always enjoyed peeling back different layers, and kind of at the moment in the season are really truly figuring out just how many layers he has.
Can you tease to me a little bit about where that relationship is going to go? Because in the promos, it looks like he might be in some hot water with the guys. We had Chris S. trying to get involved before, and now I don't know what's going to happen next. What can you tell me?
I mean, you're going to have to definitely wait for Tuesday to figure out exactly how everything pans out. But there are a lot of things that do happen. There are a lot of tough conversations that have to be had, and there are going to be a lot of emotions involved with all of it.
Joe ghosting you was another big point early on pre-show. Does that come back, or have we moved past that? Am I harping on that, or is it something that will come up again?
I definitely feel that, ghosting, we can all define ghosting however it was, regardless. Communication was where I really wanted to focus with that. But going into that first night, having that conversation, I knew that if I made the decision to keep Joe around, I was going to keep it without a grudge. And, you keep it with a clean slate. And so I made that decision to keep him around and really used my time up until this point to continue to get to know him for Joe and not for how that conversation went years ago.
Was there any part of you when you guys were getting to know each other on the show that wished maybe you had pursued something before or found a way to?
Not necessarily. I'm a big person who feels that everything happens for a reason, or you're going to eventually get to where you need to be. And so for me, I feel like it's counterproductive to spend energy on like, oh, well, I wish maybe we should have gone here or done this or met each other. It's like at the end of the day, I'm here, and me focusing on potentially what could have been unfolded, I have no idea. All I know is now. And so that's what I chose and still choose to focus on.
Clayton is another one who gets a lot of attention online. I feel like viewers maybe think that they're missing something with him. Can you tell me a little bit about, or speak a little bit on that, or tease to me any Clayton developments that we're going to see?
With this process, I think just so many of the men challenged themselves to open up. And Clayton was a guy who really truly challenges himself, and is always in this constant state of reflection. And he has a good head on his shoulders. And so I think the audience is going to see that.
All right, let's talk about what's still to come, the ending. What can you tease to me about how the rest of your journey will unfold? Are there going to be L-bombs dropped, more than one L-bomb?
What I can say is that I had no idea I would be in the position that I was at the end of the season. Something that I didn't necessarily expect, something that I didn't think was possible for me. And I'm excited for everybody kind of to see what that entails. Because I think a lot of assumptions are made, of either who I end up with or if I end up with anybody. And when it comes down to it, I came into this knowing that I was just going to stay true to who I was. And that means staying true to what you're feeling and talking about where you're at with your feelings.
You've kept your cool pretty well with any drama that's gone down during the season. Are we going to see that as a continuation trend, or is there going to be any moment of maybe like, I'm over this, I'm locking myself in the bathroom, Katie style? I would say for me, I'm going to show emotion. I'm going to cry. I'm going to break down. There are moments where you want to get away. I mean, you are in this position where you're exhausted. You've given so much. If you're doing it right, you've just put so much in this, and it's everyone responds to that in different ways. And for me, really collecting myself, really staying disciplined in what I'm feeling, how I'm speaking, how I'm communicating, so that I'm doing it in a way that can be received is really important to me. And so as far as like losing my cool, you're going to see me hurt. You're going to see me be happy. You're going to see so many different emotions. As far as stomping off and saying something that's necessarily, uncalled for, not really my style. So I can't promise that you're going to see that, but you will see emotion and you will see my genuine feelings. We obviously were talking about 200 episodes of The Bachelorette. That's a lot of source material for you to have watched if you so choose to, or be a fan of. Was there anything that you've seen a past Bachelorette do that you either wanted to kind of channel or maybe avoid?
I would just say that, even just watching Rachel with how she conducted herself and how she handled different conversations, and she was just so elegant in how she navigated everything with all the pressure that was on her back. And so reminding myself too, when being in this position as a lead, that there are certain expectations that you may feel, but your job is to continue to stay true to who you are and set those expectations down, because ultimately those expectations are not going to help you find a person.
Have you spoken to Rachel at all during the season, as the season aired?
Yes, I have, actually. I just spoke with her earlier today.
Oh, did she give you any good advice?
Yeah, she's just been supportive, and is just always willing to give me, support whenever I need it. And I know that she's there for me. I know that she has experienced and felt some of the same emotions that I'm going through as a lead. And I really just appreciate that.
I loved in the beginning of the season seeing some of your students and seeing you in the classroom and stuff. Have you heard from any of the parents or like the community of either we love watching you or, oh my God, it's our teacher, like anything like that?
Everybody's just been really supportive, like overwhelmingly supportive. And, it's just such a unique and different situation. But ultimately, when I'm in the classroom, my families, my students, my coworkers, they all speak to me like I'm Miss Young. And I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most, because during this really abnormal time, it's easy to just constantly think, talk, surround everything Bachelorette. And for me, what makes me super helpful or what makes me super happy or just fulfilled is doing my passion. And so they allow me to have that space to do that.
Is it safe to say, whether you are with someone or not, or however it ends, that you would want to be back in Minnesota, you want to be teaching, you want that part of your life to stay the same, or no?
No, I'm a person who typically just embraces opportunities as they come. And Minnesota is where a lot of my roots stem from, but I've also lived in other areas as well. And for me, like, I can't pinpoint whether or not I'm going to be in Minnesota, you know, next year or the year after that. I fully plan to finish out the school year, but I don't know what opportunities are going to come my way, and whether there's somebody involved in my life, whether there's not, you know, that's always would be a team decision. So can't say that, yes, I'm 100% staying in Minnesota the rest of my life. I can say that I'm open to all opportunities. I'll take them in. I'll make decisions as I go, and yeah, make sure that I'm just happy with the work I'm doing.
Caitlin and Tayshia obviously have played a huge role, I think, since they've taken over as the co-host of The Bachelorette. What have they done for you in your position as the lead?
I think the biggest piece of advice was when Caitlin was talking to me about surrendering. And she used that word surrender, and she talked about how that word typically is seen as a weakness. Whereas in this situation, surrendering meant, like, it's okay to give up control, and it's okay to let things fall where they need to fall. It's okay to not hold it all together. It's okay to be vulnerable and, you know, put yourself out there and just surrender to the process. And I felt like that was going to be one of my biggest challenges, and I felt like I was able to do that. And so that piece is what I definitely kept at the forefront of my mind during this entire journey.
I think I got to wrap up here, but I did want to ask you about Martin and this female high maintenance comment. I feel like that got a lot of attention online too. Watching that back, was there anything you either wanted to add to that, or were any comment on that whole situation?
Not necessarily anything that I would continue to speak on, just that, you know, social standards and things that we place on both genders. And for me, it's important that the person that I'm with is able to see that as, you know, see me as a level playing field.
Anything you're super looking forward to discussing at a men tell all situation with any of these guys that have gone home so far?
Not necessarily a specific situation, just really checking back in and seeing some of these people that I really did connect with again.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. I'm so excited to see the rest of the season, and congratulations, ABC, on 200 episodes of The Bachelorette.
Thank you.